Today we'll be sharing shocking tips to improve your art like Yusuke Murata, the artist of One Punch Man and the creator of Ice Shield 21, using those same tips to actually create the cover of Apple Black Volume 3. Yes, people, finally. If you want to get it, details to everything will be in the description. The shocking tip we're stealing, inspired by, adopting here is something I see a lot with Yusuke Murata's covers, art, illustrations. And I think regardless of whatever you're working with, whether it be traditional artwork or digital, there are things to take away. If you look at these covers, you'll kind of see a semi-realistic / stylized look where it still resembles what you would traditionally see or call as anime or manga, but the rendering is top notch. And today we'll kind of touch on the little tricks that I see in most of these covers that you can apply to your own work just to give it that extra sauce. I do the same, and that's what we'll do for this Volume 3 cover, except I still leave a little bit of my voice in there, my own art style. Some of the key things to note is that the line work is critical. There's some parts where there practically isn't line work. Same way in real life when you see photos, the people you see are not lined out. Example here with Madame Naomi, a character from Apple Black. She's in this pool, and the pool is emitting light, and the parts that the light hits, you can clearly see it's showing off that green vibe, and the line work there is much lighter. Another thing to give you that semi-realistic vibe where you're blending that with your anime art style vibes, you can use reference, especially if the reference is from real life as you see me doing. That will also go a long way, especially if it's a dynamic image with a lot of lights happening. You can also learn in the process. So there are elements of the drawings that will have lines, there are elements that wouldn't, and they'll still have a sense of line variation where objects that are closer to you might have thicker lines versus further away, and sometimes even further away might have no lines at all, like some backgrounds, or if some lighting is hitting a character at some parts, they'll be completely whited out, as you can see, and the edges will have like a touch of whatever the color of the light source is. Dynamic lighting, if you will. You can do it all traditionally, but here I will be working and then transferring it to either Clip Studio Paint or Photoshop to add some nice saucy touches. I do the same here for the Apple Black Volume 1 cover. I focus and get all the light stuff out of the way before I go in with the actual colors, and I make sure it all blends in properly. Do the same thing for Volume 2 cover. The parts where I know light's going to hit, the line work is very thin. I do the same thing with the Volume 2 cover, as you can see here. Going in with the line art first after the whole thing has been sketched out, and then once the line art is done, I figure out what colors I'm going to be using. You got to be organized when you're plotting all of this out, because especially if you're working traditionally, there ain't no Control Z. Once you're done figuring out where all the light's going to be coming from, you can see how I left a lot of parts without any line work. The background literally has zero line art. Same thing I did with the illustration with Madame Naomi. And then all of that just helps with the semi-realistic anime art style vibe that we're going for. And then we scan it in, put it in Photoshop or Clip Studio Paint, whatever you're working with, and then you make the adjustments. See a lot of the parts where there isn't any line work, all of that is on purpose. We did this for Apple Black Volume 1 cover, Volume 2 cover, and I plan to keep this approach for the first 4 volumes. For the covers moving forward, I might do something completely different. After sketching it out, simple pencil and eraser, I'm going to be inking with Sakura Micron inking pens. Nothing dramatic. I have my little container here with all the tools I use. Clearly you see me using Sakura Micron inking pens. These might not be the pens being used by Murata. In fact, I'm willing to bet they're G pens, which are an industry standard for Japanese comics. The paper I tend to use works very well with copic markers or alcoholic brush based markers. Kind of like a Bristol paper. Here we have a Spectrum Noir. Before we nail out the cover, I have some ideas of what I want to do. For Apple Black Volume 3's cover, I had multiple ideas of what I wanted to do. I knew the character I wanted to kind of grace the cover for the most part, and then I ended up having Ruby and Simon on the cover, and not just Ruby, and there are reasons to that. I'm not going to go into too much detail as to why, but I knew I wanted something dynamic, popping, grabbing the reader, viewer, whoever's walking by Barnes & Noble, Walmart, wherever you're going to see it, and want to pick it up. I had multiple ideas. I like that one on the left right there, but I thought we could take it a step further, and voila, this is what we went with. I didn't want to go with like another hand reaching out. I wanted to do maybe with the foot, almost like he's running or jumping at you. And I think that is what we settled on. Now for the rest of the video, you guys are going to be seeing me use my Sakura Micron inking pens, but it doesn't really matter that much what pens you're using. Remember, it is about the user, not the tool, young grasshopper. So you use what works best for you. Now, if you just want to follow along with the video, use the microns as you see them. You use microns like I'm using, or you can use G-pens. I have a separate video kind of comparing the two, pros and cons, but there isn't that much difference if you know what you're doing. Volume 1 went with Sano, Volume 2 went with Opal, Volume 3 we clearly have Ruby and Simon on the cover, and I thought that would be the way to go, especially knowing what I know in the series. Some of you might be able to guess who would be on Volume 4's cover to close out the arc. I've actually already finished the Volume 4 cover. I'm just working on the Volume 4 chapters at this point. Shout out to the assistants helping me. I have to reach out to the new assistants because it's been a hot minute because there's been a lot going on. But bottom line, we're moving forward. A lot of things that I found very common with pretty much all the Murata covers. There's that strong sense of dynamism with the characters, their poses, the camera angles, the composition. All of these things help make for a strong volume cover, or just illustration overall. If you're enjoying the video so far, we got beef? Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I need it. I need to eat. Drop comments if you have any questions. Also, if you guys make it to the end, I'll share a little secret Easter egg only found in Apple Black Volume 1. Shout out to everyone who got it. Little gift for everybody who's made it this far, and those who have purchased Apple Black Volume 1, there's a little Easter eggy thing at the back of the book. For those who see that wanted poster, bounty hunters can look at the wanted posters, get some information, but get more information if they scan the QR code. Question is, what happens when you scan the QR code? Now, I wish I could show you guys what I did with my copic markers, but the footage was actually corrupted, so apologies. But it's the same approach that you saw with the other volume covers. Linework, got some red to form the light source hidden. It's really intense, so even the edges are like white, pretty much. But then we're going to scan this in and play with it in Photoshop to add some extra sauce. One of the key things, aside from like using adjustment layers, first things first is we're going to actually get rid of some of the line art, because again, that adds to the realism of it. And this is what you find a lot in those One Punch Man covers. You don't see that much line art, or at least Murata kind of picks and chooses his spots of where to show line art and where not to help sell that sense of realism. And then it's rendered in a very crisp, realistic, keeping track of all the light source bouncing off one another kind of way to have everything fit. So for me, again, I'm not going into too much detail trying to form realism here. My style is still less so, but the elements of what Murata does that I like to adopt, especially for covers. I'm trying to have y'all buy this book. Don't buy that coffee, buy my book. So I'm getting rid of the line art in some places, and it'll still pop, especially once the background kind of comes in, which will all be digital. And I got some help putting that together with head designer helping us Saturday, Mitch, who's also the creator of Henshin. After that's done, play around again more with some adjustment layers, and voila, volume 3 cover. And this is the final look, guys. And yes, guys, it'll be available worldwide. Pretty much any store that has books. It's just crazy to think there were 3 volumes in and we're working on the 4th. I even like how the books kind of contrast with one another from book 1, 2, and 3. Also knowing fully well that I enjoyed making 1. The reviews and feedback have been great. And I know volume 2 is better than 1. And 3 is better than 2 and 1. And then 4 is better than 1, 2, and 3 combined. I mean, 4 is kind of like a season finale, so it has a lot of questions answered, new questions asked, and that kind of stuff. So it makes sense to a degree. But each volume is a strong stand on its own. And then 4 sends everybody home hype. Again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video. Go smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you stay notified each time I upload absolutely anything. Check out more videos. It's Whyt Manga, and I'm Audi 9000.